KI Radio.
The home of cool music and awesome vibes.
Who is Kiran Misoon? Who are you?
That's a great question. I am a Toronto-born Canadian Trinidadian.
Hey,
My
So
parents.
what would you call that? Would you call that a
Toronto Trini,
can Trinidadian?
something like
Sure,
that.
sure. Cantrin Begonian. Fit everybody in. And I am a Cantrin Begonian of East Indian descent. So I'm
Ah.
real mashup. Real mashup.
Oh wait. We have something in common here. Hallelujah, Jesus.
Well, so when it comes to food, well, I'm blessed. Very
Oh, God.
blessed.
Mm.
About
Again,
that.
food
Oh,
from
God.
influences from all sides.
Mhm.
My background is actually I spent 30 years in construction. I owned one of Toronto's top stone restoration companies, and for years, and I was real good at it, and I loved doing what I did at the time. And then, to make a very long story short, in July of 2015, I woke up and due to no fault of my own, I didn't have the company anymore. So, which meant I had no money, no job, no prospects, no future, no nothing. And then that same week, my younger sister-in-law was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Oh,
My husband was diagnosed with pre-diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and 2 or 3 other things. Plus, he was obese. I was obese at the time, and I also had several chronic forms of inflammation and autoimmune disorders, and I had suffered from depression for years and years. So anyhow, I have been cooking since I was 8 years old. I love to cook. I'm really good at it, and I love to show my love for people through the food I make. So I said to my sister-in-law, she just had 2 little babies. So I said, watch this. You look after your children and I will look after you. So she found a naturopath who specialized in holistic healing for multiple sclerosis. There was a diet associated with it. And I said, all right, I will do all the cooking. So you'll be properly fed. And so you could look after yourself. So myself, my husband, my sister-in-law and her husband, we all decided to do this diet together because I told my husband, you are not coming in this house with a string of medication at all. We're going to fix this one time, and this weight and these problems, they're going. So we did the diet. It was very restrictive. I would not recommend that particular diet to anybody in the way that we had to do it. But long story short, it saved that girl's life. By December 31st of that year, 2015, all her symptoms were gone and she was completely in remission. It's been, knock on wood, 8 years now, and she's had no problems, no flare-ups. She is as more fit than me on any day of the week. And she continues to look after herself. My husband lost 72 pounds and he never had to go on medication. Everything got reversed. And for myself, I had lived with certain forms of chronic inflammation and autoimmune disorder for 30 years, had been on every diet, every pill, I had 5 surgeries, and none of it worked. But this diet fixed everything.
So
Everything was gone.
So you're saying then if you had known about this diet, then the whole knife thing would have been null and void.
Yeah. Or at least if the professionals that I was talking to who went to school for decades had said to me, by the way, this is available to you, you should try it.
Yeah, you should try it, yeah.
But that's not how Western medicine works, right? They wait for you the way they are trained, the way the system works is for you to first become broken and then they work to fix you. Whereas I come from a place of Ayurvedic medicine, at Ayurvedic science. So Ayurveda is the science of the soul. It's a sister science to yoga, and it's ancient Indian science. It's a sister science as well to traditional Chinese medicine, if you've ever heard of that. It's all
nice.
It's very holistic. It's all getting back to nature and the herbs and the food and the mindfulness. And instead of looking at the body as a jumble of parts, like just the heart or just your foot or just your liver, it looks at the whole body as one cohesive system. If something is wrong with your liver, then we need to find out what else is happening in your life to figure out what started this, put you on a program to reverse it all, and now work from being proactive rather than reactive. And that's the major difference between Western science and Eastern science. Western science is reactive, and Eastern medicine is proactive, preventative. So in 2016, so I was very grateful that we all got better. But I was still thinking about going back into construction because I had spent my whole life there. And then between January and February of 2016, in my family friend circles, we lost 8 people in 7 weeks.
No
to
way.
Diabetes and cancer.
No way. Wow.
Yeah. Girl, every day I was going to a funeral. In 1 week, I went to 5 funerals. It was a disaster. And I said, this is enough. Like, this is utter nonsense that these are lifestyle illnesses and people are dropping like flies. So I decided I can't compete as a chef in Toronto. Toronto has some of the very best food in the world with some of the very best chefs. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to use food as a tool to teach people how they can be proactive about their health, how they can improve their gut health, their mental health, their physical health, so that they could constantly live in joy. My tagline is feed your joy, because joy, in my opinion, is our birthright given by God. We were breathed into joy.
True.
We were breathed from joy. We were made from joy. And it is our birthright to live in joy. But you cannot talk to people about joy when they're in pain, whether it's mental pain or physical pain. It doesn't matter. Nobody wants to hear about journaling and broccoli when they have bursitis or arthritis or battling cancer.
Yeah.
So I've made it my mission to help to teach people how can we reverse these ailments and problems you're living with, so that the veil of pain could be removed and joy could walk in, because it's knocking on your door to talk to you, to spend the day with you and lift you up every day. But we get so tied up in our day-to-day, everyday routines, and not routines, habits, that we miss the joy all the time. So my mission is to help people feed their joy, whether it be through food. Well, and my modality happens to be food because I'm a chef.
Yeah.
Kinga, have any questions for Lady Key?
What type of diet one should have in order to prevent cancer risk?
Well, if you're looking at it from a preventative stage, then you want to eat a minimum of 80% of your meals whole plant-based foods.
Plant-based, definitely. I had that like last year. I was on like a diet like for 7 months. I couldn't continue.
But I mean, it helps to know how to cook, right? So let me say, for example, a great meal, if somebody's trying to, somebody who is not plant-based. So I am a plant-based chef. I am plant-based eater, everything. I wasn't born that way, but because when I had to heal myself, I just went that way and stayed that way. But let's say if you make some nice mackerel, and then you have some green bananas,
no thanks to bananas, green bananas. No thanks to mackerel.
What?
Nope.
What happened over there?
Oh gosh.
Half of my life
gosh.
is missing right there.
Oh my God.
Or some plantain, and
Yes.
some rice and peas,
Yes.
like our
Yes.
good home food that
Yes.
we all know and love, but to make sure that we're using all the green herbs, all the spices, and limiting the oil, and then of course limiting the bad fats, like the cooking butter that makes everything taste so good. We want to limit that drastically.
Yeah.
The sugars, that has to cut out one time and look for only natural sources like dates or date syrup, maple syrup, things like that, because cancer tumors love sugar. Love, they
They do?
thrive on it. Absolutely. That is
So,
a
so what
main
do you think
food.
about honey? Like honey.
Honey is fantastic. It's one of
Yeah,
the most healing foods on the planet, as long
yeah.
as you get the raw, unpasteurized honey.
Oh, all right.
Not the kind
Mhm.
that you have to read the ingredients. When you buy honey, you
Yeah.
have to read it so that it says pure honey or raw honey, because the heating of honey destroys all of the medicine that's in it. Honey is actually the closest thing to human blood in nature. It can heal wounds, it could heal your respiratory system, it could do a lot of healing. In Ayurveda, we use honey very often, especially during cold and flu season.
Yeah.
But it must be raw, unpasteurized. The minute that you put heat to honey, you've completely destroyed it, and it actually has a reverse effect. It contributes towards problems if you heat it up. So don't ever cook with it.
Wow. We need to invite that Lady Key on a man's perspective to
So that
along with
means, sorry, but that means sweet and sour chicken is not good there.
Well, not how you're buying it from the restaurant. But you
so you're saying
can make
homemade
sweet and
cooking is
sour
better than on the road.
Of course. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all like
Yeah.
a good takeout, right? Or a good
Yeah,
takeaway.
Yes.
But if your
KFC.
intention, and I always ask my clients this, if your intention is to live a strong life for however long God has put you here, because not everybody wants to do that. I've met several people who have said to me, this healthy stuff is just not for me. I'm not going to do it. And I've said, all right, is your life, do as you please. But if your intention is to live for yourself and your family and friends in as strong and independent form as possible, then you have to be proactive about your health. Then you have to minimize the takeaway foods and do more cooking at home. So you can make sweet and sour chicken at home with dark meat and use tamarind for the sour and pineapple for the sweet. Those are the two main ingredients to make sweet and sour, to be honest. You have your chicken and then you do some rice and peas or some Congo peas with it, or you do a
Congo
nice
peas. Yes.
Yeah, man, curry Congo peas. I love it. Love it. It's so good for you. So much iron, so much protein. Oh my God. And then you put some coconut and some cumin and coriander and some ginger in there, man. Your gut will love it. Your brain will love it. Every part of your body will love it.
Wow.
So there's a lot you could do. There are foods that you do need to reduce, though. As I said, sugars in the form of sodas and sweet drinks.
Wait. Back up, lady. Back up.
I told you in advance that you're not going to like what I have to say.
Back up, lady. Back up.
Yes.
Somebody call some vehicle somewhere.
Yeah.
So what I would advise is that you start to water it down.
See?
Have less.
Why am I putting water in my soda, though? For
Of
what?
course.
No, it tastes,
sugar.
No, it tastes bad. No, for real, it tastes bad. I tried it. It tastes real.
It does taste bad, but that's the whole point. The point is for it to taste bad, so you stop drinking it because it's killing you slowly. It's contributing to insulin resistance, which is the root cause of type 2 diabetes, and type 2 insulin resistance is linked to cancer because insulin resistance induces fat storage in your cells, which holds inflammation and hormonal disruptors, which increases your risk of cancer. Everything is linked.
That's why we need to have a part 2, a part 3, and a part 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Part 4 from a man's perspective.
So for your sweet drink, don't get me wrong, I love a good solo from Trinidad. Oh man, a banana solo is the best thing in life, or a champagne solo. But I love it. But I also love living in a strong, pain-free body. So, a good way if you want to try to reduce your intake, just have either, have if you normally have one with every meal, drop down to two, meaning two a day, and then eventually one a day, and then eventually, one 3 times a week. But you could also, instead of watering it down with water, you could buy carbonated water like club
Yeah,
soda or something like that. So it
yeah.
still maintains the bubbly,
Yeah.
but it reduces the sugar.
Mm.
Ah.
I know.
I'm
If I-
gonna stay quiet for the rest of the show.
No, hold
I
on.
know. I
It-
feel
it-
your sister. I really do. I understand completely because when I had to go on this strict diet that I had to go through, the doctor told me you had to give up bread and rice and
Bread?
cheese. I say, watch the color of my skin. Which
Yes,
part of me giving up bread and rice?
Yeah, starch
You
isn't
mad?
heavy, heavy
But then
starch is a contribution.
I
So,
did my research and I found out what they meant by bread and rice. So I don't have no problem with rice, but you want to make sure you're getting rice that is still in a whole grain form and not a
True.
refined food, right? You want to make sure that it is not quick cook or instant or minute or anything like that. If your rice don't take more than 20 minutes to cook, then that rice is not for you.
True.
When you're having rice, you want to make sure that your plate has more vegetables on it than rice.
Ew.
I know.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
can live though, believe me, you can live. And when you want to eat bread, look for or make your own sourdough bread. Sourdough bread is not only
Interesting.
delightful, but it is also a fermented food. So it helps
Yeah.
to build good gut bacteria in your digestive system, which helps to reduce your risk of
Really?
digestive
Whoa.
cancers. Absolutely. You don't
What
have
is digestive cancers?
digestive cancers like colorectal, stomach, esophagus, all these kinds of cancers. The difference between those and say endocrine cancers. So endocrine cancers would be like prostate, breast, cervical. I think that's the list of the endocrine cancers. And something to note, something to be to note because we are people of color. It has been said by I can't remember who it is which medical journal it was found in. Anyhow, people of Caribbean and African descent, specifically speaking about both men and women, but specifically at the moment about men of African descent, tend to die from prostate cancer more often than white men. And they're not 100% sure, but so far what they have tracked is that the genetic mutation of the cancer, it mutates differently in Black men than it does for white men. And the cancer itself of prostate cancer in Black men tends to be more aggressive than in white men. And they present at a higher stage. There are 4 stages of cancer. And men of African descent tend to present at the highest stage, meaning that it's much more challenging to reverse, if at all. Same thing with women from the Caribbean and of African descent with regards to cervical cancer. In sub-Saharan Africa, they tend to present more with cervical cancer. Now, whether that has to do with the fact that they have less access to screening, I haven't seen a report to say why that happens, but breast cancer and cervical cancer seem to be more prevalent in women of African descent. So that also links us back to what I said about insulin resistance, which is the precursor or the root reason of type 2 diabetes. Those of us with colored skin, whether you're Asian, South Asian, or African descent, we all tend to develop type 2 diabetes much, much more than anybody else. It is part of our genes, our genetic makeup, having said that, it's important to know that your genes don't mean everything. Just because your mom had diabetes or just because your dad had Alzheimer's doesn't mean, it could mean that you have the gene, but it doesn't mean that you're going to develop the illness because of epigenetics. So epigenetics, according to the Center for Disease and Control and Prevention, which is the CDC, epigenetics is defined as the study of how behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. So basically it says where you live, how you think, what you eat, how often you exercise, the kind of community and friendships that you keep, all play an integral role as to whether, and of course your food absolutely will determine if those genes that you are carrying are going to upregulate or wake up, or if they're going to stay dormant. So you have 100% control. Despite your genes, you have control. What you think, what you eat, what kind of exercise you do, what you're thinking. It's also important to know that lifestyle illnesses like cancer, so only 5 to 10% of all cancers in the world are genetic. The rest is all lifestyle, which means, again, you're in control. So what's also important to know is that every organ in the body is responsible for a certain level of energy that contributes towards illnesses. So for example, the energetic root cause for cancer is stored in the liver because the liver is the keeper of aggression, bitterness, anger, frustration, resentment, and those things are all the root causes of cancer. So when I'm talking to a cancer client, I not only instruct them, of course, here the foods, the specific foods to eat and the ones not to eat, but also let's do this mindful work. What you have to go back into your history and think what happened to you 20, 30 years ago. Everything like type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart disease, they all take 25 to 30 years to develop, with the exception of Alzheimer's that takes about 40 years to develop. So it's not what you're doing today that's going to affect today, is what you did 25 years ago. And what you're doing today is going to show up 25 years from now. So Tia, my sister, if you reduce that sweet drink from now, you will be improving your longevity 20 years from now and reduce the risk of developing not only cancer, but heart disease and type 2 diabetes. And all of those contribute towards Alzheimer's.
I mean, I'm willing to cut down on my soda. I'm willing. But because of the background in which I was brought up, in terms of cooking, I wasn't able to make my own natural drinks. But now that I got the privilege to cook, I'm living in the kitchen, girl. So I'll be able to make my natural juices and
nice.
I'm really willing to cut down my soda. But I love my Pepsi, love my soda. What about Mountain Dew?
It's all the same. It's sugar plus sugar and then sugar again. What do you mean?
Yeah, man, same thing.
Any questions for Lady Key? Because we're almost out of time.
All right. I hope I'm coming through clearly because I had issues.
Yes, you are.
Technical-wise. All right. Is it okay, Lady Bisoon, to wait until? All right. So, for example, I haven't had anything sweet for 3 days or so. Is it a good practice to wait on the body to yearn for sweetness in order to answer it?
You mean don't force yourself to have something sweet after dinner if you're not feeling for it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when you feel for something sweet, then have your sweet thing, but be cautious of what you're having. If you know it's something that is not going to support your long-term health, then don't have it often.
Oh, so sugar shots aren't safe then?
I don't know what a sugar shot is, but I want to say no.
No.
I mean, like if you deprive yourself. Oh gosh. If you deprive yourself of sugar, say from Monday, and you feel for it on Wednesday,
right?
Is that a good practice to have?
Sure, for sure. And then if you want a small piece of chocolate, go for it, but don't
Oh
eat the
my
whole
God,
chocolate
why?
bar.
Okay, thank you.
Right?
Thank
Like,
you.
let's say you haven't had anything with refined sugar in it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, come
Yes.
Thursday, you really feel for some kind of Pepsi. Okay, great. Go ahead and have maybe at lunchtime with your curry chicken and roti, you're having a half of a
Ew, ew,
Pepsi.
ew, 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 ew.
What? Yo, come on.
Oh my
What you talking
God.
about? Yo.
You
Yeah.
go fight
Yeah.
today, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So you can have it,
Yeah.
but if your body is yearning for it, right?
You can have it if your body is yearning for it, but you have to ration it.
Oh,
Right? So now if normally you would go to have a whole Pepsi, now we're going to ration it to half of a Pepsi because the mission is to remove the refined sugars
Yeah,
from
reduce.
the body because they contribute towards inflammation that wreaks absolute havoc on the body.
okay. Something happened to me. Why I'm not really a soda fan. I went to the doctor and it was not registered in my docket, and I don't believe it still is, that I have diabetes.
Mhm.
So that caused me to do a blood check, and when the blood check came back, I had nothing of the sort. So I said, okay, then they misdiagnosed me verbally, so I'm going to prevent it physically. So the only time I have anything that has sugar in it is when my body is asking for it.
And then in limited amounts. And then remember, fruit is what you want to turn to more often than not. I mean, nobody wants to hear go and have a nice ripe mango instead of a piece of chocolate cake. But
Yeah.
even I not
Yeah.
going to do that.
All
No
But
thanks to
right.
both. No thanks to both.
oh
Okay.
God,
All
what you to
right.
survive
Done.
on, Gil, except
Yeah.
Pepsi. Oh my God.
Pepsi.
But you want to, again, ration it. You want to have the chocolate cake? Okay, fine. Instead of having a big slice, you have a small slice. And instead of having a slice every day, now we having it maybe once for the week, especially when it comes to type 2 diabetes. Two things to remember about type 2 diabetes: sugars, refined sugars, right? So white sugar, white flour, anything that has the fiber stripped from it, as well as fat. We didn't talk about meat. There are two things to know about meat.
Red
Chicken
meat.
and fish, you're good generally, you're in good company. You don't really have to ration that too much. But red meat and processed meat is a #1 carcinogen, which means that it absolutely does contribute towards causing cancer. So processed meats would be like sausage, hot dog, ham, pepperoni,
What?
any kind of deli meats, roast beef, turkey, all these kinds of things.
Mhm.
And red meat is a
Yes.
#2A carcinogen, which means that it could possibly, in high amounts, elevate your risk of developing bowel cancer, colorectal cancer, and stomach cancers, and that would include beef, pork, lamb, anything like that. So
Oh,
the thing to know about
the second one hurt my heart. My love
Yeah.
pork, but oh
Around.
my
I
God.
know.
Oh
I know. I
God.
told you
But
I'm not
so
going
then
to
what
be
are we
loved on this
supposed to
show.
eat then? What are we supposed to eat then? What
See?
More
cut it
poultry
down?
and more fish and seafood. So
See?
here's a trick. Here's a tip for you. Here's a tip. You're probably already having some kind of vegetarian breakfast because you're probably having some, I don't know, maybe you're having oatmeal or something. Make sure if you
No
eat it
thanks.
oats, what you just have for breakfast? Tell me now.
I had sardine and bread this morning with a
I
cup of
love
tea.
it. That's wonderful. Sardine
Yeah.
and bread is fantastic. Just try to get a whole grain bread or sourdough bread. That's a beautiful
I'm
breakfast.
going to say no to that 'cause I don't consume
Oh, be
sardine.
quiet. Be quiet, boy.
Good food, man. It's good. It's good.
Oh,
I personally used to love my favorite breakfast, honestly, is fried plantain and roti, to be
Oh,
honest.
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I'm down for the
I
roti.
I
Avocado sandwich with tomatoes. Oh
Mhm.
God, man. You
I
don't
had
put me on
I
heaven, boy.
I had fried plantain and crackers this morning.
Oh,
See?
so good. So good. Okay, so in your case, fried plantain and crackers, the crackers are made from a lot of trans fats and refined foods. So they're not
Whoa.
presenting anything good for you. They're actually contributing to poor health. So instead of that, you could have, like, you could make a whole wheat roti or have some whole wheat bread or whole grain crackers instead. So that way you
Or
still
fried
get to have your
dumpling.
plantain and you still get to have the crackers, but you're doing better. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And keep in mind what I said about, so for diabetes, it's the
Mhm.
refined sugars and the fat. The fat from meat is, and fat from oils and butters and margarines and everything like that is what causes insulin resistance. So what you have to remember,
Wow.
what you have to remember is fat from the foods that you eat get into the cells
Mhm.
before the glucose from your food can get in through insulin, using insulin. Your body and your brain want glucose. It's going to make it from the foods, from the plant-based foods that you eat. For the glucose to get in the cell, it needs insulin. You cannot live without insulin. But fat does not need a chaperone. It could get into the cell before the glucose. And if the fat gets into the cell before the glucose, if you've eaten a meal, let's say, of fried chicken with roasted potatoes and
Yes.
something else, then the fat from the chicken and the fat from the fried, from the oil, is going to get into the cell first. It's going to block the glucose from getting in. So the glucose is just going to be wandering the halls of your bloodstream, and you're going to have a major spike in insulin needs because insulin will continue to be sent until the glucose will get into that cell, but it's never going to get into the cell because the fat took up all the room.
Whoa.
You understand?
We
Yeah.
are almost out of time, but I want to answer these questions from social media. Dorothy says, wow, great show. I am taking notes literally. Could you explain the true meaning of a balanced diet and diabetes?
Sure. In short, a balanced diet is 80%. Every time you look at your plate, you want to see 3/4 of that plate filled with whole plant-based foods. As long as it has grown out of the ground, whether in a bush, in a vine, on a tree, make sure it shows up on your plate the majority of the time. And then the other quarter could be other food. It could be some form of animal-based protein. Remember that everything that grows out of the ground contains protein, including lentils, peas, beans, all that kind of thing. And if you're looking to reverse type 2 diabetes, I just finished, well, I didn't just finish, but I had I taught a 23-day master course in May, and I'll do it again in May 2024 on how to reverse type 2 diabetes. And the key is to reduce your refined sugar intake, which includes white flour and white bread, and reduce your saturated and trans fats, which would come in the form of butter, margarine, and meat in general, because you cannot take out the fat from meat. Fish would be fish and seafood are your best options, and poultry a close second.
Awesome. And O'Neill from Canada, he says, tell me about the egg. Is it true that eating too much egg can make you sick?
It can't make you sick as such. You want to try to reduce your egg intake to no more than 3 eggs per week because of the intense amount of cholesterol in the yolk.
Wait, there's cholesterol in yolk?
The yolk is only cholesterol. That's all it is. And so if you want to have eggs, have egg whites, and then make sure that you fill your eggs with vegetables. Chop up a lot of vegetables and fry it up together, or put it in the omelet or whatever. And
I do that. Hey, sweet peppers.
Nice.
Hey.
I love it. I love it.
Hey.
It's not going to make you sick. It's just going to continue to elevate your triglycerides and your cholesterol, which is going to impede your heart your heart health, and heart health is linked to brain health. I just 2 weeks ago, finished teaching my heart and brain health course that shows or teaches you how high elevated, low density lipoproteins contribute towards elevated cholesterol that affects your brain and contributes towards vascular dementia. So it's not a matter of, well, I just had an egg this week. Okay, great. But how many eggs have you had over your lifetime? And remember that these illnesses take 20 to 30 years to develop. So it's not about what you're doing today. It's about what you have been doing and now what you're going to do, what changes you're going to make. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He also, the second question he asked is, tell me about the coffee. Is it so that coffee can hurt your heart if you drink too much coffee?
That's a bit of a loaded question. So coffee is not the culprit. Caffeine is an issue in the morning. So to wake you up out of sleep, your body has to elevate your cortisol, which is your main stress hormone, elevate your adrenaline, and raise your blood pressure. If you already have high blood pressure, or if you are an anxious person by nature, and now the first drink you're going to pour down your throat is a cup of coffee, then you are accelerating the problem of high blood pressure. So what you want to do is start your morning with hot water, whether it's hot water with ginger or hot water with lemon. However it is, you want to have warm water, and then anytime between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., you could have your coffee, because the research proves that your body is more open to receiving the benefits, the multiple benefits that coffee has. It is open to receiving those benefits between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And if you're having coffee, it's not going to be coffee with cream and sugar and ting. Black golden roasted coffee.
No, sir. No,
and I know bitter. That's why I don't drink it anymore.
No, that too bitter. No, sir. Black coffee, no.
Coffee it has so many benefits for you, but if the bean has been dark roasted, then it has killed all the benefits. So as often as you can, try to get the golden roast instead. Have a little bit of milk or a little bit of cream, put some maple syrup or some honey in it, put a little cinnamon in it. Do these
Lasco, yes. Jamaican Lasco. All right. Don't talk.
Like Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. Oh gosh.
Hey, girl.
Best. Let me tell you.
Girl, don't get me started. Don't get me started. People, we're out of time today, but we're going to ask Lady K to come back sometime next week. And we will hear more about her courses, more about her workshops, and probably advertise with us. Who knows? Lady K, how can persons find you on social media and your website?
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself and feel honored to be part of this, to speak on healthy eating for our people. I feel like not enough people are speaking to us about being proactive about our health.
True.
You can find me at Keys Kitchen. That's KIS Kitchen, all one word, keyskitchen.com. That's my website. You can find me on Facebook at www.facebook.kitchenkey. It's the reverse. And if you're on Instagram, you could follow me at keys, KIS _ kitchen. And you can always send me an email at info@keyskitchen.com.
Wow. Gentlemen, any final questions for Key? Only one each.
Do you recommend any plant-based food, like, I don't know, plant-based type of food? I know they have like Beyond Meat, those type of stuff, but do you recommend any type of dish or?
It just depends on what you like to eat. So for example, a couple of years ago, I went to Barbados to visit my sister-in-law with my husband, and we went to a restaurant that made breadfruit tacos, and they filled it with a kind of coconut curry chana chickpeas. And I came back and I tried to replicate it. I didn't replicate the breadfruit because we don't get good breadfruit in Toronto,
Yeah.
but I replicated the chickpeas, and man, oh gosh, man, that thing is so
Jeez.
good. It became a fan favorite with my clients. And so I served that with either basmati rice or quinoa. And it has
Yeah,
Yeah,
all the
yes,
quinoa.
that's
Yeah,
my
yeah.
vegetables.
rice, girl.
Yeah,
That's
quinoa.
my
I tried
rice,
that.
girl.
Yeah, man.
Basmati
Because
rice.
remember, everything like chickpeas and black-eyed peas and any kind of legume is all 100% protein and is clean protein. And it's full of fiber and it's going to do you so good. So even when you're making, let's say you want to make tacos for yourself, and normally if you use, let me say, ground chicken or something, throw in some brown lentils in it.
Mhm.
You don't have to do either or. You could do both.
Right. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Do I
Thanks for sharing that with me.
What foods contribute to poor circulation? Sorry.
I don't know the answer to that. I know which foods will contribute towards increasing circulation, and using cumin and ginger in your food,
Ooh.
and a bit of fenugreek as well. But it's definitely cumin and ginger are really good for circulation.
Oh, that's to prevent that's to allow proper circulation, right?
Yeah.
So repeat it for me again, please.
Cumin, cumin, cumin
and ginger.
and ginger.
All right, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Double G. Final questions for Key. Don't know where he went. But Lady Key, thank you for coming on despite your busy schedule. And gentle folks should be back with us again sometime next week or whenever. And I wanted to come back especially for the Christmas season, the American Thanksgiving season, as well as a man's perspective program. Come on, talk to the man them.
Yeah, man. I am all about that. Let me tell you, because they don't have enough people treating men with the respect to their health that they need.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
do I?
I mean, we are blessed. Women are blessed that we have so many opportunities to speak about health, but men are not trained that way, and there aren't enough people supporting men in their health. So please, I would be honored to come back and support our men in this. Absolutely.
No problem. The door is up. The door is open for you.
My ears has just opened.
No, hold on.
Where you just come from?
You have perfect timing, you know.
One question.
Thank you again, everybody.
Just before you skedaddle out of here, KB, let me ask you this final question.
Yes, please.
What would you say to persons who, maybe are going through, obesity or
diabetes, cancer, depression?
What would you say to those persons?
Two things. One, I've been there with the obesity and the depression and multiple forms of chronic inflammation, and it's a lonely place, but there is help. I'm here. I can help you. Not only have I been through it, but now I teach how to reverse it. One of the things I'm involved in, I'm a co-creator and co-owner of a company called the P3 Weight Loss Experience. I am the nutritionist for the company, and we teach people how to use food to reverse obesity and diabetes and other forms of chronic inflammation. So far, we've been running 2 years now. We've had 742 people pass through us. Most people have lost anywhere from 25 to 60 pounds, and they're eating their own food. I mean, I write the recipes along with one of my partners, and we do the teaching, but they have to do their own cooking. And it's a go at your own pace. And we've had people no longer taking their blood pressure medicine, no longer taking their diabetes medicine, no longer taking their high cholesterol medicine, because my aim is to help you to become proactive about your health. So I really don't care how much somebody weighs, but I wrote the program so that if you follow the mindfulness, the activity, and the food, you will lose weight because you are improving your health. So that it may seem lonely, but I promise you there's help. If anytime you want to reach out and reach out for any form of support, just send me an email and I'm happy to talk to you in any way, shape, or form.
Never mind.
Awesome.
I'll just
Awesome.
tell you that pretty soon I'll be sending you an email via either through, you
So
never know.
is the company physical, as in you have a building, or is it online?
No, it's all online. p3experience.com. Anybody from
okay.
anywhere in the world. We have clients from Australia and England,
Hello.
Ireland, everywhere.
Could you
Wow.
wait? Could you say that website again? Slowly.
Sure. P, the letter P, the number 3, experience. So p3experience.com.
Oh,
All of this,
p3experience.com. I need to check out
Yep.
this website, don't
all
you
of
think?
this will be posted on our social media.
Yes,
Thank you, Lady
indeed.
Key, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you all so much. I greatly appreciate this opportunity, and hopefully we'll chat again sometime soon. Take care of
Well,
yourselves.
don't be
Bye-bye.
afraid to knock on the studio door anytime.
Thank you so much. Take care. Big love to you
All
all.
right.
Bye.
Yeah,
yeah,
All
man.
right.
Bye-bye.